Hey everyone, welcome to Casual Friday. You'll notice a little bit different. Usually I have a timer go on and you can kind of get yourself settled, grab yourself a cup of your favorite beverage, and then we get on to it. I'm running on my new system. I am totally stoked. I got my new system. I've been testing stuff out over the last month actually. The new Mac Studio came out, powerful unit, and we want to use it for. We wanted to use this for getting to speed up and getting the quality up. I'm only running 1080p on this camera, but we're going to be kicking that bad boy up to 4K here in the next one. I just didn't have time to run it up to 4K this time. But we're live. Jared, can you? I'm assuming you can see me live and hear my voice. I just want to make sure we're all linked in. Oh, I don't hear you, Jared. I see you. Welcome to Casual Friday on your thing there, but I don't hear you. Oh, hang on. There. Now go ahead.
There you go. I'm still talking. I think you just had me muted on your end there.
Yeah, so. I did.
Yep. Audio and video both working well. You're good to go.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get underway. Today is a first. I've alluded that we were going to do something like this in previous Casual Fridays, where we're going to start doing interviews. And finally, I nailed down the creme de la creme, the guru of health, Dr. Linda Kodnar, and she agreed to let me interview her on our live stream. So we're going to be talking about stress today, and we all have, and as the thumbnail, as you probably saw, we all suffer business stress. We all suffer life stress. Let's put it that way. But we're going to be focusing a little bit on business stress. And we're going to bring Linda in, and we're going to talk about what we can do about that. And then after we've met with Linda, I'm going to show you a couple of software tools that you can use to maybe help a little bit with some of that stress, at least getting it out of your head, and maybe on in some digital format that can help you out a bit. So let's jump over. Here we are. We're live here with Linda. And Linda is here in Calgary. And Linda, tell us a little bit about your backstory before we dive in.
Oh, you always do that to me, Gary.
I know.
I don't know. It's all good. Natural medicine. It's an add-on to what I sort of was trained and studied in my younger years as a pharmacist and looking at conventional medicine. And there wasn't any huge health drama in my family's life or my own life that encouraged me to start to look at other options and better ways to actually work with our bodies, as opposed to maybe just treating symptoms, which is what I felt we were doing in conventional medicine. So it encouraged me to start to look beyond. At one point, I hired a naturopathic doctor as a pharmaceutical sales rep to speak to a bunch of medical doctors. There was no witch burning, thank goodness. Everybody learned lots of different things, and so did I. And it actually sent me down this path, and I've never looked back since.
Cool. Yeah, you have a unique position that a lot of people don't have. You've been trained in the what do you call it? Regular medicine? What would you call that? Regular
conventional medicine.
So been trained in conventional medicine. So you've had your head wrapped around that whole environment, and then shifted over to the natural medicine, which in some cases it's like voodoo. For how some practitioners look at that. Oh, well, you can't go to that side. And you've done this, and in your practice you've got this really cool balance of both sides now, which is, I think, really an interesting place to be in your field, right?
Yes, well, human beings survived on traditional medicine practices that are actually very scientific. As we've moved into the 21st century, we are now explaining a lot of these traditional methods, whether it's acupuncture, different types of diet, homeopathy, botanical medicine, chiropractic. We all see that now that there are further explanations in this arena. So why not use the best of all worlds? And I guess I like to think of myself as bridging the two, because
Yeah.
some people are comfortable with conventional medicine. That's what we're sort of bombarded with um, advertising plus our medical system. But yet, there's much more to reach out to and complete a whole health picture by helping our bodies be in more balance. That's what it creates. So
Cool.
the two types of medicine do intermesh well.
Yeah.
The philosophy is maybe slightly different. So that would need to be explored a little further. Maybe we can do that in another show, or they're
Sure.
welcome to come to any of our fun programs on Saturday, Gary.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we'll talk about that before, and remind me to mention that before we wrap up the interview. So let's dive in. Stress. And again, I mentioned in the prelude that there's all sorts of stress from all sorts of places, but let's talk about business stress. You've dealt. I mean, your office is in downtown core of Calgary. You've dealt with business executives, CEOs. The guys that are running fast and furious. All about stress. So let's talk about stress and how you see it, and what are the things that we can do about it.
Well, I guess, the AAA personality, which we'll touch on again, but can feel or exhibit more symptoms of stress. So maybe we should talk a little bit about how, those symptoms show up as being a stress response. And, we're typically looking at the ruminating mind when we're trying to get to sleep at night, and or waking up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So we're starting to see like insomnia, digestive problems, irritability, fatigue. These are all common symptoms of stress, and also the worsening of previous health problems. So our allergies, for instance, the allergy season is coming up. If they're worse in any particular year, we're accustomed to blaming it on the pollen bloom. It's worse this year, but it actually could be because your stress is worse,
Right.
and that amplifies it. So aches and pains, that sort of thing, can also be interpreted as being symptoms of stress. They're the weak point in our body already, and then when we are piling it on with work, deadlines, and things to be done, all those things appear to be worse. So then not only do you want to manage your stress with something, hopefully not an addictive substance, but something to help our nervous systems calm down and adapt to the situation, because we're certainly not going to get rid of it, are we? We're
No.
always going to have deadlines.
Yeah. And
Or
I've known when I was working in the downtown core. There was a lot of guys who confided in me and said, yeah, I'm on antidepressants, or I'm on anti-anxiety medicine. And these were taking pharmaceutical medicines to try to get through the day and try to manage it. And it wasn't uncommon. I was quite surprised. And it wasn't that I was asking these people. They were quite vocal about, I'm just barely hanging on. And these were CEOs. These weren't lower management people, and I'm sure there were as well. But the people that I dealt with were usually in the C section.
Yes, totally. So, you've got not only your type A personalities that end up experiencing stress, but we have a culture that has a certain viewpoint around time, being busy, not giving ourselves an opportunity to take a break from the day. Give yourself 15 minutes, and everybody can find 30 seconds to reset and just take a few long, deep breaths. And it's inhale, but it's a long, slow exhale. So if you're going to use breathing as a technique to calm and reset your nervous system, make sure you're doing it so that you get some results out of it, because people will say, oh, I tried that, and I find out later that they just weren't even doing it properly. So looking at our standards that we expect of ourselves and of others, are they realistic? That can add stress to us. So at the end of the day, maybe we are self-inflicting a lot of stress. Not delegating, Gary.
Exactly. No, that's so true. I think I think most of the stress is self-inflicted, or it's not managing yourself. I like what you said about the breathing. I mean, I know guys in business that they get off the phone and they're stressed right out, just right to the max. Maybe they had a confrontation with a client or whatever, and that breathing technique can bring you right down really quick, get you kind of leveled. And so I like that breathing technique. The key is to remember to do it, right? And do it properly.
Recognizing it that we maybe need that right now, and you don't want to sort of knock somebody's head off their shoulders just because they suggest you take a breath.
Yeah.
There's the irritability factor that
Mm.
accompanies, and then eating habits, and then we start to, emotionally eat to sustain us, and sugary foods are not the way to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, perspective is really important. I think that ties in with the self-inflicted perception of stress. Like, if you set your mind to having a purposeful and smooth day, it's more likely to go than waking up in the morning and kind of throwing your hands up in the air, rolling your eyes and going, oh boy, this is going to be tough or whatever.
Yeah.
So, getting a good perspective is certainly helpful. And you were going to say?
I was just going to
Yeah.
say, so should a person, I'm assuming a person should sort of set, if it's self-inflicted, then there's certain areas like, okay, setting boundaries around what you should do or what you shouldn't do. Like we mentioned just prior to going live, is that, a person, there's a lot of people out there, including myself, who go, hey, Gary, can you do that? Oh, yeah, put it on the pile. Oh, Gary, can you do it? Oh, yeah, put it on the pile, instead of saying, no, I don't have time. I mean, I'm getting
Yes.
better at it, but for years there, I would be working long hours after the workday has been done, just trying to get up, finish off the yeses that I said during the day when I was. And then you're kicking yourself all night, saying, "Why did I agree to do this?"
Yes.
So how does a person, what can, as a starting point, if a person recognizes it or feels that they're stressed out, what's a starting point to say to get control?
To get control. Well, I guess it's looking at one's timetable. If you're in business, reassessing what are the priorities. I mean, that's a standard business management technique. Where I may come into somebody's, let's call it portfolio, because I'm part of their health team, and you want to look at, well, what medications am I on? What can I use to help myself feel better? And am I on a multivitamin? Do I use B complex to restore my adrenal fatigue? Am I on a good vitamin D? Have I got maybe some natural substances that will help me feel calm? And passion flower, GABA, L-theanine. There's numerous products in both a herbal form and a homeopathic form that you can use when you're going to be challenged that day. So why not have that as a supportive formula on the side? And herbal teas are great, but it's kind of a little bit light when you're in the, as in intensity. They're pleasant to drink, but are they going to give you the bang for the buck you're looking for in the midst of turmoil or something like that? And always taking a time out, of course, is really important. Reassessing and maybe reaching for some of these things that are available. And I'm not talking about alcohol or marijuana. I mean, those have a time and place, perhaps, but it's not your go-to when you're trying to be productive in a day.
Yeah. So in the you had mentioned there that it's looking at different things, and I can attest to. I mean, Linda has I've counseled with Linda for many years, and she she knows I run pretty fast, and I've tried these things and they work when you're going to get into it. My biggest problem is I get into it and then it's like, oh crap. I should take it before, when I know I'm going to have a crazy day. So it's really knowing yourself, I guess, isn't it, Linda? Kind of discovering yourself, and because we're not all the same.
No, not at all. And sometimes it's good to bounce that off, whether your medical doctor, your chiropractor, your acupuncturist, your naturopath on what best suits you
Yeah.
and your system, and maybe what other medications you're on and other things to be aware of when you're trying to address a situation. And then, of course, there's the acute stress scenario where there's deadline and then everybody collapses after, and then they get sick because they were on flying high on cortisol and adrenaline. Then their immune system is plagued, or it's chronic stress, like years of not looking after,
Right.
you can
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So
So
two
there's,
different scenarios.
yeah, everybody's a little different, but I think there's some things, like you said, that were self-inflicted. So some things, actually, it's all self-inflicted, really, isn't it? Isn't it, Linda? I
Yes.
mean, you have to look after your body. Nobody else can do that for you. You have to set boundaries for yourself. Nobody else can do that for you as well. Like it really is in our own court, but I guess it's coming to an acknowledgement that the buck stops here, really, right?
Yes, it does. And if it's like training anything, if meditating isn't part of your lifestyle, if exercising isn't part of your lifestyle, it takes time and awareness to start to build that into your day, and you got to make it a priority so it becomes available to you in a crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, folks. I mean, Linda has been more than just a naturopath. She's kind of been a health, like you said, Linda, a health coach for me. In that, a lot of the things that I've adopted into my daily routines, like exercising, I hated exercising. I loathed it. I mean, I like being physical and doing, even extreme sports, but when it came to, I'm going to go and lift some weights, it was like painful for me. I had to find something that would pull me into that. And, after lots of conversations with Linda and kind of discovering different things, I came up with a routine that works specifically for me. It may not work for everybody, but for me, it works really well. And I'm consistent with it, which is the key.
Yes.
And so I
Always.
think exercise is probably one of the bigger ones, right?
Yes, yes, and it helps to discuss it with somebody else. Like, I'm not going to tell you what is right for you. Like you say, I give you some ideas. My patients give me ideas to give other people that may work for them, and then it's your self-discovery, as you said, self-awareness, creating that space and time to make yourself important, so that you don't suffer the long-term repercussions of chronic stress.
Right.
And it's huge. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrenal fatigue is a big one for a lot of business people. They don't realize that they are at that state of total exhaustion.
What is adrenal
Yes.
fatigue? Just so we understand that.
Adrenal fatigue is, well, the adrenal glands are what create the hormones that make you go. When
Oh,
you
okay.
say, I need to press the gas pedal down, the adrenal glands will kick in. Coffee addictions, and coffee is often an indicator that we need a little bit more squeeze on the adrenal glands to get going in the morning. So supporting those hormonal pathways with the organs that interrelate with the adrenals, which gets very complex. It's thyroid, pituitary, the pancreas, and the liver, all of those. And then it hooks into digestion, because when you're under stress, you do not digest. It's one of those things that
I didn't
you're
realize
all,
that. So is that why
all in
people
your
have
head.
digestive issues and stuff, because it's part of that? Oh, wow. That I didn't
Yeah,
know.
they keep eating, and yet you're not really breaking your food down and digesting it, because you're not producing the right amount of stomach acid or the digestive enzymes to help make that happen more smoothly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So chronic stress can cause, this sounds far out, but osteoporosis, because you're not absorbing the minerals required to replenish and keep your bone health.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Wow.
Yes. So
So if you had a couple of bullet points to say to people, here's a starting point, no matter where you're at, that no matter what your situation is, here's a couple of starting points. What would you kind of throw out there? My recommendation is they actually talk to somebody like yourself, if not you, and get some guidance around that. But if you were to say, these are a couple of things you should do, what would those be?
Well, take a look at how you're imposing physical stress on yourself. Always like sitting constantly and not drinking enough water, not eating properly. I mean, those are just real basic.
Yeah.
Ensuring you get good night's sleep. If you can sleep with a little bit of the window cracked open so you can get some fresh air, getting a good night's sleep always helps recover, and your subconscious or unconscious, people will say, but subconscious mind is still working on your day all night long. So making sure your body is relaxed and getting a good night's sleep is super important. And maybe some magnesium might help you ensure that. So those are some real basic tips, and then we could dive into all kinds of things from there.
One of the things I'm going to mention, one of the things you mentioned to me, which I do, is I get up every hour, and I don't, it's like, don't go and intermingle with another. Just go for a little, just walk around a little bit, just so you can clear your mind and walk away from everything. Take some of those breathing, like you suggest, breathe in, slow breathe out, and then come back, and it really makes a difference. And I've gotten in the habit, thanks to Linda, every hour I get up and, I walk away from everything, no matter what it is.
Yeah, it helps you get that different perspective that we were talking about.
Yeah. Exactly.
Totally.
Well, Linda, thank you so much. So everyone, Linda's contact information is in the comments down there, her link to her website. All her contact information is on her website. If you're in Calgary, you could actually see her. If you wanted to have a Zoom meeting with her and have a consultation that way, she's available. We also, Linda and I, have been doing live streams with Linda on Saturday mornings because I'm fascinated by this. And so we got together and we do a show every Saturday morning. So if you look for Dr. Linda Kodnar on YouTube, you'll find that she talks about, we've talked about a lot of stuff, haven't we, Linda?
Oh yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. So thank you so much for talking with us today and helping us with some of this stuff with stress, and we sure appreciate your time.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, everyone. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to dive into showing you a couple of tools that you can use to be able to help you maybe lessen the blow of some of the stress that you're dealing with right now. So there's a couple. One of the big ones. Let me get into my share screen here. And okay, hang on here. Just a second here. Linda, did I boot you out by mistake? Oh, I can't hear you. She's in the green room and she's muted, and that's okay. She wanted to sit in on the rest of it, but she can always watch later too if she wants to back out. Anyways, let's dive in. And here's my screen. Let me pull up. First of all, I want to talk about ACT. So one of the things you can do is, hang on. Let me just grab this. Little impromptu disconnect here. If you haven't gotten this book, go get it. Getting Things Done. It's probably one of the better books that I've read. I've read lots of books about time management, managing yourself. David Allen is his name. Now, I don't agree with everything that David Allen has. Not all of the things that he recommends works for me personally. But it has some good stuff on. We have a lot of stuff that comes at us. We have emails that come at us. We have phone calls that come at us. We have people in our office coming into our office and talking to us. There's the demands for us can always increase our stress. So what do we do with all this stuff that's coming at us? Well, one of the things we can do is in ACT, make sure that you're using the calendar. Make sure that things that come up, you're blocking off time on your calendar to be able to do those things. One of the things that we have, and I'm only mentioning this just because I just happen to see these here. you see these time blocks. We have an app called Day Manager, which allows you to do time blocks. So you can see here I've got time blocks where, okay, this is client bookings, and I'm not going to sacrifice this for other things. And so what you can do, and you don't have to use the time blocks app that we created, but if you kind of mentally know that between this time and this time I'm working on this, and that's my focus, or this is uninterruptible time or unsacrificable time, work with your calendar to help you organize yourself. And you can even use the task list on the left-hand side to create tasks. And in ACT, tasks and activities are the same thing. So your stuff on your calendar, stuff on your task list, stuff in the activities menu on the contact screen, those are all activities. And you just view them in a different way. So if I go over here to today, and I won't have anything on today because this is a demo database, but let's just say today and future. It's going to list all the stuff you've got going on, and then you can check it off when it's done. And you can actually add activities in there. Now, unlike a lot of applications, ACT likes to link an activity to somebody. So even if you're on somebody else's record or not, you can actually create a to-do. And even if it's not on your name, you can always go over here and click My Record and schedule something for yourself. And it can be timeless. You don't have to have time-specific activities. You may just want to do it on that day and timeless. And one of the other things you can do on your activity is use what they call a banner. Now, when you create a timeless activity, and let's just say I'm going to do one for here for today. Yeah, it's the 6th. I'm going to press OK. Now, you'll see right up here, it shows up here, but there's no specific time. And if I look at my calendar, it's not even on my calendar. If I click on the day, it's right here, but it's not showing up anywhere. But if I open this up, and I'm just going to put in here test 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to actually use the banner, it will actually show up at the top here. Now, you can only have 5 banner activities at the top, and I'm not going into deep dive into the activities, managing activities, but I'm just kind of giving you a flavor that this is a great place to manage it, whether you look at the calendar view or that you look at the task list view. You can get stuff out of your head, off your plate, and get it in here. And just like getting things done, or GTD is what they call it, you can do a couple of different things. When something comes at you, you can analyze it and say, okay, that's something I need to do and only I can do it. This is something that I can delegate to somebody else. This is something in the future. It's not even, something that, and maybe these are things that are just, I've got lists of stuff that, at nighttime, going to bed, and, I may write a list of stuff that just come to mind, and I'll put it on there, and then I'll come back and then I'll put it into the system in the morning. And these are just things, hey, I need to maybe think about this, or maybe I got to work around that, and I'll put it on my to-do list. Now, I've done in 2 different areas. I've done to-do lists right here in ACT, where I've got specific things that I want to accomplish. And I'll be really honest with you, I don't do timeless activities in ACT. I do them in some other place. There's not a right or wrong. The best thing you can do is try to find out what works for you, because everybody's a little different. I have a little bit of ADD, so I have to work a little harder to try to corral myself into all the things I need to do. Time blocks for me are just a real blessing, because now I can focus and say, no, I'm only doing this in this area. Now, my time blocks are different than this demo database, but I'll have time blocks that I do specific things. And it's really important for you to kind of figure out what works for you, because everyone's different. It's kind of like when Linda and I were talking, and we were discussing about how everybody's health is a little bit different, everybody's stress, how they manage stress is a little bit different, and it's the same thing with how you manage the stuff that comes at you. So use the ACT calendar, dive into it. If you haven't used very much of it, start investigating. I think we've done, Jared, have we done any videos on the activity management or time management?
Oh, we've done a little bit on the calendar that kind of goes over it.
Did we?
Yeah, we've done sort of a calendar where you look at putting activities in your calendars and what like that. A little bit of the to-do list, but we haven't focused on it completely like you're doing today.
Right. Okay. Well, and
Task
even
list too.
yeah, the task list too. Yeah. So
Not
maybe
at all
we
much on that.
Yeah, maybe we need to do a deeper dive in this. One of the things you can do with this, just like in getting things done, you can delegate. And this would be this little scheduled for is your delegation tool. So if I wanted to send something over to Jared here, I just click on Jared, and when I press OK, it's off my hands. It's now it pops up on Jared's activity list, and he deals with it. But I can always go in here and show Jared stuff and say anything that I delegated to him. Has he done it yet, or are we still waiting for it? What's going on? So I can use this not only. So let me just go. So now you can see in here this is scheduled for Jared, but it was scheduled by me. So I can quickly see really quick stuff that I delegated to Jared, but maybe hasn't been done yet. And when he clears it, when he checks it off, then it comes off that list, and I know it's been completed. So this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it, let me just minimize this, and I'm going to bring this up, is a program that we've been messing with called Microsoft To Do. It's free. If you've got a Microsoft subscription, you can get this. It doesn't interact with ACT. We've been so busy that we haven't had a chance to. We've been able to integrate this right into ACT, where I can click on a Microsoft To Do and actually inside of ACT bring up a window inside ACT. And so we've experimented. One of the things we're looking at is taking an activity and actually bringing it into ACT. But at this point in time, it's just another place to get this stuff out of your head, get it into the system. And the cool thing about this, it's not linked to a contact. So unfortunately, it doesn't work as well as ACT does of capturing what things were done and that sort of stuff with individuals. But it's really great for other things. And you can see here, I'm applying for church and personal and work. And then I've got all these little subcategories. And the neat thing is you can, when you create a new list, and I'll just call this test, when you set up a test list, you can change the theme, give it some color. You can add your tasks list on here. And the other thing I can do is you can create a head one and then any subs after that. And the nice thing is you can share this with other people. So you'll notice in here, I've got a CLX, which stands for corelogix. Anything I want to share with the team, I can just drag that activity in there, and now everybody else has it on their system. And so it's kind of cool that way. The only disconnect with this, again, it's not linking to individuals like it would with ACT, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a bad thing. ACT had, I'm working on version 24 here. ACT in previous versions had a thing called Scratchpad. It was garbage. It was just junk. I don't know who developed it. Wasn't developed internally by ACT, I'm pretty sure. I think it was a third party. But whoever developed it, really wasn't putting a lot of thought to it. They basically put a list together. But this actually would replace this. The only thing that this won't do in this Scratchpad, you could actually create an activity from that. And so if and I'm not promising, but if we can figure out a way in the future, once things die down a bit after this security thing, we will look at taking a task and maybe see if we can get it into ACT. No promises there. We haven't investigated. Matt hasn't checked into it, but it's one of those things that maybe, fingers crossed, we might be able to do in the future. But this is a great little program that allows you to put tasks in. So I can put in here test 1, 2, 3, and it will just put them up there. When they're finished or completed, you can star it. If you click on the star, it puts it into the important one. If I go in here and put some, when you click on it, you can say remind me here or due date. Maybe I say due today. If I go today and go to my day, it doesn't show up, but I think it's supposed to. Oh, we've got.
You can click just the add person at the top right of your list. Natalie was giving us some tips and tricks for to-do lists. Yeah, she uses it quite a bit. She's been saying here, and you can assign actually multiple people to it. She was telling us like a different task, which was a cool thing. So it's kind of like ACT, where you can assign people to do stuff. You can do that with Microsoft
there we are
as well.
Yeah. Natalie is really good at this kind of stuff. We've chatted a bit about that before. There's a lot to this, and I'm barely scratching the surface. And maybe what we do, maybe I can convince Natalie to be a guest on, and we could go through together and go through to-dos. Would you be interested in that, Natalie? We could do a little thing and show people on how to use this, because I think you know it better than I do. I mean, I do it really well, but I think you're at a higher level than me on using this.
Well, that's a good tool, right? Because sometimes stuff is just, random things that you need to get off your plate.
Exactly.
Especially if you're, like for yourself, Gary, you're managing a company, and sometimes there's just little things like, oh, send that person a form, or, oh, process payment for this, or something like that that's not in your realm of responsibilities in the company that you need to pass on to somebody else for them to take care of it. And so making sure things don't slip through the cracks is an important part, right? Because we want to obviously keep clients happy and get things done that need to get done in a timely manner. And this is one of the things that can help.
Yeah, and this is even more far-reaching than business. This can be used for other aspects of your life as well, and allow you to have some sort of access to it all. The nice thing I like about this too, I can put it on my iPhone. I can pack that to-do list around here. So if I'm out and about and I get an idea or a thought, I could have a little what do you call these? A little category, if you will, of maybe ideas, and I could just throw things in ideas. And the nice thing on your phone, you could just click on it and dictate, hey, this is a great idea, and click done, and you don't even have to type anything, because I'm not a very good typer. So here's another one, and again, we're not doing a deep dive into this, but I think we probably should do a deeper dive into To-Do, because it is a powerful little tool, and I'm totally impressed with how it works and how it functions. And I think that this would really accentuate. And again, we'll let you know if we can do some integration, but it's going to take a little while before things settle down here, before we can get it. Maybe during the summer, when things maybe slow down a little bit. If things slow down a little bit, we can get Matt to have a little gander around that. But I'll just say, we did test bringing this into ACT as a window inside of ACT, and it worked really well. It actually worked really well. Any questions on the ACT? Or I should have actually asked questions when Linda was on, if anybody had questions for Linda, and I apologize for that. So if you had, and Linda's going to beat me with a stick later, I'm sure, because I just thought of that just now. But if you have any questions down in the comments, just jot down that if you had any questions for Linda, or you wanted any information on Linda, pop that in there. I'll make sure we get some information to you. Any questions on maybe on the ACT part of this, or the To-Do? If you'd like to know more about this, or have deeper dives into both the Microsoft To-Do, we also have Microsoft OneNote too, which is different than To-Do. It has a different function, but it's also a really cool program, and I use that as well. It's finding the tools that work for you. A hammer can be used for a lot of different things. How you use that hammer is totally up to you. And that's the same with this. Finding the tools, it's how do you want that tool to work for you. There's another program out there called Notion. I've messed around with that. A little more complicated to use, but really, really powerful. And the big thing for me is accessibility. I can run Microsoft To-Do on my Mac, which I'm doing here. I can run it on my PC, and I can run it on my tablet or on my phone. So I have access to it anywhere, where I can still have access to my ACT using handheld contact, which is not a problem. So I can do the same with ACT. I can access it wherever I need. So any other questions before we wrap this up, guys? Thanks for showing up today.
Yeah, Jason was just grateful. He was thankful that Linda was able to join us, and he enjoyed the topic and thought it was some good information. So some good feedback there.
Awesome.
From Jason. He enjoyed that part that we had, and Natalie has also given us some good feedback on the To-Do, which is a powerful tool, as we know, and also, links with your phone, so it can go with you anywhere. And it's not an extra cost to have it on your phone or on all that stuff, and it syncs really well, which is also a really good Good
And
thing about that product.
I know Natalie and her team. They're all using Microsoft Teams, which again you can throw on your phone, right? So, those are the things that you need to look at when you're looking at any kind of productivity tools. Is my accessibility to them? Like how can I get information in? For 99% of the stuff that I do, I'm working at the desktop and I'm functioning in here. But if I'm out of the office, I got Act on my phone. I got Microsoft To Do. I've even got OneNote on here. I have access to all my documents on here. So, because we use and we promote people to use, OneDrive. If you've got an account with a Microsoft 365 account, you have a terabyte of space. If you've got a business account, you have a terabyte of space. Get your documents up in the cloud. Get them off that server or off that place that maybe is a little bit can be compromised or maybe lost. But anyways, I hope this has been helpful for you today. We look forward to meeting with you again soon. Just an FYI, May was going to be Act Marketing Automation Month. We're going to do a workshop that may get delayed. Our May thing may get delayed. I didn't even realize I did that. Anyways, it may get delayed into June, and I apologize for that. I know a lot of people have been chomping at the bit for us to put this workshop on. It's just that we have been literally overwhelmed with all the stuff from this security thing. We're wrapping things up. We're helping people get set up and stuff. So things are going well. It's just now we're just a limitation of time to finish this off and get it ready to go. So if we don't have it in May, we will have it most definitely in June, the early part of June. So stay tuned. We'll let you know as we're getting going in the month. We're only in the 6th, so hopefully I'd planned on doing it around the middle of the month. So we'll see, but don't hold your breath. Okay? Anyways, everyone, have yourself a great weekend. Jared, thanks for being my co-pilot there, bud. And
no problem.
We'll see you guys next week. All the best. Have a good weekend.